Good morning, sunshines. Oh, Callie Carroll here, and we are going to give you 5 tips to worry less. The royal we is who that is. Me and Dale Carnegie, I guess. I'm not really sure. We're reading his book right now about starting living and stopping worrying. That's not the title of it. Stop worrying and start living is actually what it is. But I kind of just took everything and repackaged it into a way that makes a little bit more sense for me. What's really cool about this book is Dale Carnegie is one of the grandfathers of personal development. So anything that you've read that's been written in the last 15 years, 20 years, whatever, it is probably like a different type of version of the grandfathers of personal development. There's so many ideas, and of course there's new ideas that come about, but there's a lot of taking from and pulling from what was researched, studied, figured out, assessed then, and then putting into the times of today. And I went back in time for our book club and had people actually go through and read Dale Carnegie, because it is interesting to see that same perspective, the same type of light was back then that is now. It's just spoken differently. So all of the examples are to me, it feels very old. Like I'm like, who are these people he's talking about? So it's neat to watch people take them, wash them, repurpose them, and then put them in a new format of today's time so we can really understand. And that's kind of what I want to do today, giving you 5 tips to worry less. And I'm going to give you a real life example because I have plenty of reason to worry right now. But a lot of people would be like, this is a time where you'd be in a worry phase. And surprisingly enough, I'm not. So Witten John goes in for his 6-month re-scans for his cancer on Monday. Today's Friday currently while I'm making this. So in 3 days, my baby boy is going to go back for the first time since he had scans to see that his tumors were going away, right? That he was NAD, no active disease. And we went in, we saw that back in October, and he rang the bell. And now for the last 6 months, we've just been handling the chemo hangover, acclimating back to life, trying to do normal things, become a functioning little human in society, as much as that is just in terms of play and being and wearing clothes. And this will be the first time that we go back and go under anesthesia again. Although we did get the report out like a few days after we rang the bell. So we did just, do anesthesia in the end of October as well. But we're going to go in. He's going to do anesthesia. They're going to have to give him an IV. Usually he gets the needle in his port. So he became accustomed to that. But now they have to go in through a vein, which is really challenging for those little teeny tiny veins that he has. And we're going to have to go NPO, nothing per oral, where he doesn't eat or drink, which if you guys have followed my story at all, it's very traumatizing for him because he does have that disease where he has to have water on a consistent basis. And there's this fear when water's pulled from him, but you have to do that when you go into anesthesia. And then there's the obvious, right? Like, okay, you're doing rescans for cancer that's incurable, by the way. So how are you not full of anxiety right now, Cal? And it's funny, my mom sent me a message a couple days ago and she's like, how you doing? How's your anxiety? And I was like, honestly, I don't have any, which feels so beautiful to say, truthfully, my whole body just feels at rest and peaceful. And it's probably because I'm unknowingly going through a lot of these practices through it, like in a further extent, just by reading this book right now and diving into the study of getting rid of worry. So that's the real life example we're going to give. I'm going to kind of show you those things. So tip number 1, and as we're doing this, I would encourage you guys to pinpoint one of the things that is eating away at you a little bit. The beetle, as he says, like the thing that's just nagging you. It's in the back of your mind. It's consistently this little worry or fear that's in your mind. So choose something, or maybe it's a major one that you have right now. Choose something and see if you can go through these 5 tips as we're going through. You can even hit pause. So I'll share, I'll give my example, and then you can hit pause and be like, okay, so how does this apply to me? All right. So tip number 1 is know the ramifications of worry. And we went through this a couple episodes ago about what worry can do to your body. So I'm not going to go over all of that, but know the ramifications of worry, meaning that if you're choosing to be in a state of worry, Number one, you could be making yourself quite physically sick, not just mentally sick, right? Not just consumed by worry, which is a distractor for your life. Actually, let's add that one to the list. So let's do sick for number one. It can make you bring it on all sorts of illnesses, whether that's gut illnesses, migraines, tension, actual diseases. It is the root cause of a lot of different things that can happen in your body. So know that if you're choosing to spend time in your worry, you are also choosing to spend time limiting your lifespan. And that's a choice that you have, which sounds weird. You're like, no, Cal, it's not that easy to get rid of worry, but we're doing 5 tips right now. The second ramification is the lost time, what I was just, insinuating towards the lost time of your worry. You're spending this time in this thought of something that has not even occurred, and you're giving it all of this energy, and you're losing your current day for what you think might happen tomorrow. So think about that, the ramification. The third ramification is the energy that you're creating in your world and what you're attracting. If you spend all your time worried about problems with your finances or negative financial things, you're going to be training your reticular activating system. Your brain, your mind is going to seek out different ways that things are not working financially well for you. You're going to focus on those, and you're going to create more of that in your life. The law of attraction, as well as the actual energy of the vibration of where you're spending your time, that is going to impact it as well. So you're going to be bringing more things to worry about. So tips to worry less, number one, is know the ramifications. In my example, I already know all of those. I've spent a lot of time worrying in the past. I understand. I've been sick before. I brought on more worry. I've lost years of time in a state of worry, and I don't want to do that anymore. I just don't. So I get to choose to move into the next 4 tips. You get to choose to do that as well. Or you can be like, easier said than done, Cal. I'm not going to do it. That's your choice. You then just acknowledge that you're choosing to stay in a state of worry and continue to make yourself sick and continue to lose that time and continue to attract more things to worry about into your life. I know it's like, whoo, that's confronting. Okay. Tip number 2 for minimizing your worry, for worrying less, is going to be to analyze the truth. And this one sometimes is difficult for me because I don't even want to spend any time in it because I don't want to give it power in my mind. Like for Witten's scans, I don't want to give it any power. The more that I think about it, the more power that I give it, and the more that I feel like I can accumulate worry. But if you don't do this step, then a lot of people are stuck in a state of worry. I'm saying that because I'm not stuck in a state of worry right now because I've been practicing it. But if you don't do the analyzation, then the lack of data can put you into a state of worry. So this step has a couple different steps within it. So tip number 2, analyzing the data. We're going to go through 4 different things and be thinking about your worry. Okay, so number 1, we're going to actually confront your worry. We're going to look at it. You're afraid of snakes. You're afraid that you're going to be bit by a snake. Look at it, and we're going to stare it down. Sometimes when you look at your fear, you're able to conquer your fear. The first thing you're going to see is, what's the law of averages? What is the likelihood that thing in your life is going to occur? Go ahead and get on there and Google what percentage of, wherever you live are bit by snakes, are bit by deadly snakes, whatever. Look up the percentage so you know. Okay, it's 1% of people. Okay, now you can see this. 99% of the people, 99 people out of 100 do not have this occur, and 1 person has it occur. How much time do I want to spend worrying about it when I know that 99% of the time it's not going to be happening to me? Take in my case, law of averages. So we're going into Whit and John scans. I'm going to, on this part, focus on not like the experience, because the experience just is, that'll be a later one, but the outcome of his scans. The law of averages tells me, from seeing our oncologists, because this is an incurable cancer, that he has a 15% chance of reoccurrence. Do I believe that's going to happen? No. In my heart of hearts, in my faith, I do not. But I face my fear, my worry straight on, and acknowledge that there's a 15% chance that we're going to get those scans back and they're going to see something on the scan. And facing that, I know on the other side, 85% chance there's not going to be anything. And that's where my heart is. 85% chance. I'm not going to sit here and think about the 15% chance, because 85 out of 100, I see marbles for some reason, 100 marbles. I'm going to count 85 of them. He doesn't have cancer. He doesn't have cancer. He doesn't have cancer. He doesn't have cancer. I'm not going to count the other 15. I'm going to count the 85. The marble practice is actually pretty useful because then you're reiterating the good 85 times, 99 times if it's a snake bite, whatever that is. So look at your worry. First thing when you're analyzing is look at the law of averages. Okay. The second is to face the what if survival. What if this actually does happen? How am I going to survive it? What if survival? What if it is the 15%? What if there is a tumor in his body? Then what? How am I going to survive that? What if you do get attacked by a snake? Worst case scenario, what's going to happen? Right? I don't know why the snake one came up. That hasn't even ever been a thought in my mind. Just was there. So what if that does happen? You're going to be rushed to a hospital. I don't know. Worst case scenario is, if it's like really bad, I guess it would be death. In the book, one of the things that they're talking about, this guy's working on he's in war and he's working on like a boat or something where there's all of this TNT, and it's like he's just staring and he's living in fear all day long because like, what if one of these blows? And his buddy is like, dude, you're gonna die someday. We all do eventually. You're not gonna know it. Once you blow up, you're gone. You're out of here. It's better than dying a slow death. And the guy was like, okay, I guess you're right. So I know that like might feel a little like morbid and dark, but it can help you get to the other side, the light of worry. Me knowing that, okay, there's a 15% chance we go in, we do find another tumor. I know that we can survive another year of chemo. Do I want to? No. Does it sound like a joyous time? Not really, but I know that we can get to the other side. I know that we can survive it. I know that we have the strength to get through that as a family. Again, I'm going to root myself right back to the 85% chance that it's not going to happen, but acknowledging the worst case scenario and that you will move beyond it is very empowering. Okay, third step of analyzing the data. So now you've looked at the law of averages, you've looked at the worst case scenario, is going to be to like see what can I do about it? What power do I have in this situation? And when you look at that, you're going to take action after. So first you're going to write down what can you do? What can you do about encountering a snake? I don't know, carry anti-venom in your pocket. That doesn't seem very reasonable. Maybe you're going to avoid open desert areas where snakes are. Don't stick your hand underneath a dark rock, I guess. But outside of that, it's like, no, not much, right? Like you're just going to live your life. What can I do about the results of Witten-John scans? I can't do anything. There's nothing I can do right now that's going to change the outcome of what those scans are. They are what they are. In this case, it really is just something that's in God's hands. Now, in the process of going through it, which brings just, a lot of trauma as well, with going NPO, with, not eating or drinking, with getting his little veins access, knowing that we're going to be going into the state of screaming and trauma for all of us. I've been there enough times to know that that's the way that it goes on. What can we do? I can prepare. I can know that, his chocolate, his middle of the night drink because of his disease is cut off at 4:30. So we can wake him up at 3:30 to give him his drink to make sure that he's not asking for one at 4:30 because usually he asks for it at 5:30, and also preemptively give him his medication so that he's not in any sort of breakthrough. So he's not asking for water. Make sure that he has his water at his next cutoff time. Make sure that we have loads of toys and entertainment in the bag that we bring, get the wagon packed, have some different things to occupy his attention, and just take care of myself, make sure I sleep well that night before, because I know I probably won't the night of. So like the night before that, making sure that I'm sleeping well, that I'm well fed, that I'm taking care of myself so I have the energy and power to take care of him. That's how I can prepare for the day, And step 4 is take action on those things. Do the things that you just said. Figure out what you can do the things. This one really makes sense to me if you think about financial worries, especially since this is the number one word that people have. They're consistently worried about their finances and what's going to happen and will they be able to pay for X, Y, or Z. And I've been there for sure, you guys. And when you look at this, it's like there is something that you can do. Unlike my, will the cancer be there example, there is something you can do. and you figure that out. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to get a side hustle, or I need to start creating that business that I've been thinking about, or I need to get out of my own way and start working a little bit harder towards something, and then take action that day, taking action now. So now you've taken your worry. You know what worry does to you. You've looked at it, you've analyzed it, you know the percentage of what could happen. Okay, so if it does happen, I will survive. Now let's think about what I can do about it and start taking action around whatever I can do. Those are the first two tips to worry less. Just starting there, you guys, you're going to feel a big change in how you're showing up to worry. Okay, tip number 3. Are you guys ready for this? And this is one of the easiest. Oh my gosh, this is 6 tips to worry. Psh, I didn't have the 6th tip on there. Are you kidding me? Cal, get it together. Change the entire title of the video 20 minutes into the video. Yes, I am. 15 minutes, whatever. Okay. So the third tip is really going to support you in getting rid of your worry, and that's just to get busy. You don't have time to be worried when you're mentally occupied by other things. The people who worry the most are the ones who are sitting around stewing in that instead of getting busy doing something else. Hopefully, you're getting busy taking action to our last step. It's your finances. You're getting busy. You're like, okay, like I don't have time to worry because I have to start this business that I've been saying I'm going to start, and I'm going to start working towards it, and I'm going to better myself and improve myself, and I'm going to go for it. Or I'm so busy at night because I took up an extra job and I don't even have time to worry. And when you do this one, crowding worry out of your mind, you want to make sure that it's something that is taking your mental capacity. So some examples were given where it's like, okay, I'm so worried. I'm just going to do all of the housework. I'm going to get, the house spotless. If you don't have to use your mind, if you're doing laundry, you might still be able to worry by doing laundry because it's not taking your mental capacity, while doing the dishes, while cleaning the floors. So in crowding worry out, you want to make sure that you're occupying your mental space. This could be so much as listening to podcasts while you're doing those things. Make sure that your mind is occupied. It could be, watching different documentaries where you're learning something where your brain is occupied. The example that they gave was building model airplanes, getting something where it's like, okay, my brain really has to shift and focus on this. So get busy getting busy so that you don't have time to be in a state of worry, because you literally physically can't think of 2 things at once. You guys do realize that. Like, I can't tell you to focus on a pink elephant, picture a pink elephant, picture a pink elephant. How do you fix a boat? I forgot about the pink elephant already. Like now I'm like, I don't know. How do you fix a boat? I don't know how to build a model boat or a real boat. I'm not sure. You can't do it. You can't do 2 things at once. Okay. That tip is going to be very supportive. So right now, as you're going through, pause and think, what can I get busy doing? Is it getting busy doing one of the last things that's going to support me to worry less? Or is it getting busy on a hobby, a project, something that I've been wanting to try, reading, learning a new language? That's a really good way to do it. Learn a new skill. It's going to take your mind off of the worry. And the more that you do that, by the way, you're going to reconnect your synapses in your brain. You're going to retrain the way that your brain fires, and the worry fire is going to be happening less and less and less. And the activation is going to fire. Your learning is going to fire more and more and more. And you're not going to remember how to worry. I think this is why this is kind of mystifying to me to talk about it when I used to be 100% the worry wart, and to go in and now like review myself. I'm like, where did that stop? How, when did that stop? And it's just my brain has been retrained. And not that I don't revisit from time to time. When I do, it's really uncomfortable. I'm like, what is the sensation? Let me go back to my 5 tips. Let me go back to addressing the problem and moving through and not choosing to be in that state. It's interesting. Your brain will start to change. So that's tip number 3, is to get busy. Tip number 4 for minimizing your worry, for worrying less, is to be here now. And this is repeated in the book over and over again in different chapters in different ways. To be here in this day, in this moment, not there and not there. Oh, my personal example. I'm sorry. Go back up to tip number 3, my get busy. Yeah. In my world right now, I am extremely focused on being super mom and getting my kids off of as much screen time, That'll be an entire different video. But literally, it's like I wake up and by the end of the day, I'm like, I have not sat down. We're going, to the park. We're doing preschool runs. We're going to the gym. I'm trying to acclimate my son to socialization and separation a little bit at the gym by these little like 4-foot compartments, getting my kid in the water, which is a really big deal. We've been going swimming, cooking, having friends over, being outside in the playground, getting busy. Like, so it's nonstop over here in my world. Okay. So sorry, got to give my example. Okay, back up to number 4, be here now. Disregarding, and yes, like we are literally forgetting about our yesterdays. I understand you want to learn from the past, but it already happened. You dwelling in it and continuing to think about it is not supporting you in being here now. Because if all you're doing is thinking about there back then you're not here now. You're there back then. Your mind is there back then. Even if you're trying to play with your kids right now, but you're thinking about you're there back then and the situation that you don't like or what occurred or what happened to you or the spilt milk. We don't cry over spilt milk. When we look at our present moment and we let go of that, we do get to be here now. And then we get to get busy. We get to do things. We get to be active. Either that's proactive on making your worry go away or learning a new skill, doing something. The other thing about the be here now is stop worrying about the future. If I sit here all day today, I'm just going to be worried about how Whit and John does on Monday for his scans. I'm going to waste away today. I'm not going to be present in anything that we do. I'm just going to be thinking about what could happen in those scans, all the things that could go wrong. Oh, that feels just gross even saying it. And thinking about and being in the future doesn't allow for me to be in the present. And when you're missing your present, you don't know how many present days you get. You don't know how many be here nows you get. You wake up today, you choose, I'm going to be here now. Letting go of the past, especially for those of you who are hung up on some sort of anger, some sort of situation, you're harboring an event that you cannot change, that is eating you away. Your now needs you. Your you in the now needs you. Your family in the now needs you, but you're back there or you're up there. Being in this moment is going to support you in worrying less. Now, you probably are going to need these other tools in order to be here now and to worry less about that. But if you can just acknowledge you can't change the past, and the best way for you to support and change your future for the good is to be your best right now. Being your best today is the surest way to give you a positive result in the future. Does that make sense? So you're looking at your finances, like, oh, but I'm so worried, like I'm going to be able to pay my bills next month. I don't know. What are you doing today about it? How are you taking action today? How are you getting busy, crowding out the worry, doing things to financially support yourself? I get out this chat today and I go and I pack the wagon, I pack my bag. I make sure that I don't have to be thinking about that. Everything's already ready. As much as I can do to support myself to be ready for that, then I am, but I'm going to do it today. So be here now is tip number 4. Very supportive. Okay, we have 2 more tips, a little suggestion, then we're done for today. All right, the 5th one for worrying less, minimizing your worry, is to cooperate with the inevitable. There are some things that you just can't change. Your marriage has ended. Your children are at college now. You're an empty nester. My child has cancer. There are some things that inevitably I cannot go back. I can't change that. I can't change the fact that it's incurable. I mean, I can help work towards that. I can help advocate and create awareness and get more funding and support for that, but I can't change it. There are a lot of great examples in Dale's book about just oddities. Somebody loses a finger. It's just ripped off. They are a couple fingers, I think, in one of them. So he has 3 fingers. And he's like, hey, does that bug you? He's like, well, no, I don't know. I've had 3 or 8 fingers total for a long time. It doesn't bug me. This is just, it's the inevitable. It just is what it is. Okay, cool. And you take somebody who, there's examples of people who don't have the quality of sight. They don't have the ability to see, but they've adapted to that, and that's their inevitable. They cooperate with it and they move forward in and on other things. So in my example, I do know Whit and John has an incurable cancer and another incurable disease. If all I want to do is focus on that and wallow in Eeyore in that, it's gonna be a pretty meek life. But if I want to stand in my power and move forward and successfully work into other things, then that worry is going to disappear. So whatever your inevitable is, the disease, the marriage ending, the friends changing, it is. It is. Let's move. Let's move into our now. Be here now. It goes right back to that. Final one, number 6. You guys, I am so silly. One of the most supportive things in our entire journey has been having your faith, being in your faith, giving your worry to God. Let go and let God. And it was really interesting in Dale Carnegie's representation of religion in this, and just how he went through, you know, being religious all the way to this agnostic state, and then just disregarding everything and being in a very woeful way, and then really circling back to the one proven truth as he sees it, is that people of faith worry less because they give that away. They're never alone. And no matter how you want to package your faith, your spirituality, when you do that, when you have someone that you're sharing your life with and you're giving that negative power, and not like, here, take my negative shit basket, but you're like, here, that I'm going to worry less. You handle this. It's in your hands, and I'm going to sit over here and I'm going to breathe. And the results of that is more relaxation and calmness and moving forward and letting go and getting to be here now, which changes your entire energetic, your vibrations, and what you attract and bring into your life. And there's multiple stories and encounters of people who move back and find their faith again. And then with time, with that faith, life starts to shift. They start to see that they go from this negative state to this positive state, and maybe not overnight, sometimes overnight, but it takes a little bit of time and consistent energy and consistent devotion to your faith. So for me, that first day of diagnosis and going in, I started doing my gratitudes. I actually did a lot of these different things. Actually thinking about it right now, I can see myself in the waiting room as I'm going through and I'm saying thank you for all the different things around me so that I can bring myself out of that negative state and into the positive one. And then it was let go and let God. When he wants my baby, he gets to have my baby, which is kind of like where you look at your what if survival. If this were to happen, what would I do? And just acknowledging that that's the way of life. And then just being in my faith. And if you've ever encountered serious trauma in your life, like you're not just on the worry side of things, you're on the actually like things have occurred that you worried about, you'll see that for most of us, our faith just multiplies during that time, or it just feels so bright and so there, so present. And that faith piece can really move you through worry. So maybe you haven't practiced religion in a while. Maybe something steered you away, but if you can reconnect to your ultimate power, your infinite power, feel what that feels like and how it makes worry show up less. Okay. And obviously in my example, it's just, I know that God has a plan for our family and for what's next. So why do I need to worry for the next 4 days about going to these scans? He already knows what's going to happen. I'm just going to do my best. Am I here? Am I now? Be here now, take action where I can, and live my life. So looking at your worries now, going back and thinking about the things that are eating you away, the last question that I just want you to ask yourself is how much are you willing to give to these worries? How much of your life, how much of your power, how much of your health, how much of your time are you willing to give to that worry that you're going through right now? And you get to be the one, this is the cool thing, you get to be the one to address that. You get to be the one to give up your health, give up your time, give up your future, give up your sanity for this worry, or to take control, to take the power back, to go through the different steps, acknowledge the ramifications, analyze the truth. What is the law of averages? You will survive no matter what. What can you do about it? Start taking action. Get busy. Get your mind occupied. Learn something new. Be here now in the presence and have your faith. Those are your tips to worrying less. I'm going to step forward in today without worry, without anxiety, with a joyful heart, stepping into my now. I'm going to go do a dance class, shake my booty, hang out with my babies, take them swimming, go see my baby girl tomorrow, watch a concert where they created this song, this composition for our family, for Whit and John, which is going to be so freaking cool tomorrow. Prep for everything on Monday and just have an awesome weekend. Wherever your worry is at, I hope that you can step into some of these tips and watch it just dissipate, watch it float away, and watch how your world starts to change when you do. If this has supported you in any way, I encourage you to go ahead and share it with your friends. If you know other warriors, support them through these. Write down the tips, practice a few of your different worries as you go through life over the next day, week, month, and see if it's supportive for you. And remember, my dear friends, perspective reveals miracles. So when you look at the world differently, the world looks different. I love you guys, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for joining.